One of our headline stories we're looking at for you has to do with that statement that was released by Occupy Ghana, saying that they have received some documents from the Attorney General's office. Now, social and political non-partisan pressure group Occupy Ghana is claiming that the Attorney General has refused to give them a copy of the report on the AG's outfit's investigation into the Metro Mass Transit Smarty's bus branding transaction that was handed over to the Chief of Staff a couple of months ago. The group revealed that though the Attorney General and Ministry of Transport delivered 22 documents covering the Smarty's transaction to them some few weeks ago, the Honorable Attorney General refused to give to them the report that she delivered to the Chief of Staff after her investigations. According to Occupy Ghana, the AG's action stems from the fact that the particular document in question is, quote, considered confidential and privileged, unquote. In a statement issued by Occupy Ghana, it said that it had passed on the document to the legal and audit teams for their review and advice, and further expressed its preparedness to pursue any legal or wrong untoward actions that may come across or they may find across. They would be joining us later on the line for us to speak or pick their thoughts on it. And let's speak to one of the leaders of Occupy Ghana. He's joined us on the line to pick their thoughts on, after receiving this, what's the next line of action. Mr. Kesley Hayford has joined us. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon.
To start with, why the interest in this particular document that you're saying has not been added to the many that you have received already?
In this particular instance, this is a letter of advice from the Attorney General to the Office of the Chief of Staff in the President's office. And the AG is claiming that it is client lawyer privileged information, and therefore they cannot make that available to us. We respect it. We will go to court about it, and we will let the judge hear our case and see if we cannot get a document prize from the AG.
Yes, but of all the documents, why this one?
Like I said, they consider it as client lawyer privileged information. And so they do not think that they should betray their client's confidences by giving us that document.
Right. So now you've received the documents. The Attorney General, according to what we have read online and the information we have also gathered, indicate that they've given you these documents. So you go on with your next line of action. What is the next line of action by Occupy Ghana?
Okay. As we are going through the documents, a lot of things are coming up that we did not know at the time that this branding issue broke up. For example, we have found from the documents, and I'll just give you an example because we are not really putting it out yet because we are still looking at it in detail. But for example, we know now that the buses were branded even before the contract was awarded. The buses were branded before the Ministry of Transport went to the Public Procurement Authority to ask for a sole sourcing consideration. So a lot of things were done out of turn and out of sequence. And we want to understand very clearly how it was possible to do all these things despite all the checks and balances that are supposed to be in place in order to be able to stop people from bypassing the system. So these are some of the things that we are seeing. And if it carries on like that from what we have been given so far, then the next course of action is to find out who was culpable and who was involved in a fraudulent transaction, and we will take it up in the law courts.
Right, and we also know that after studying this, as you've mentioned, you're going to be advising yourself, or you've given it to people who would study and advise you accordingly. Are you looking at taking on the Attorney General or probably bringing back Madam Jifa to answer for questions that might arise from your study of the document?
Yes to both questions.
And what are the timelines you are looking at?
We are in court on this matter in 2 weeks again. We've been in court twice already. It was after the second court action that the AG agreed that they would give us all the documents that we requested. without being necessarily ordered by the judge to do so. So the documents have been delivered. We've got them. We are pouring through them. We are trying to figure out exactly how the sequence of events went. As regards Jifa Ativo, well, she's already resigned, and clearly she was culpable to a large extent in what went wrong. And we need to understand very clearly what her role was and whether there were other persons who were involved in this transaction whose name did not come up. In essence, we would like to glean from the paperwork that we've got whether Jifa was the only person involved in this transaction, in this fraudulent transaction, or whether there were others behind it. And that is what we are going to get into and make sure that those who were responsible and those who have fraudulently taken money, if they have, will be prosecuted as well.
And my final question to you, Mr. Kesley Hayford, would be, in the last few weeks, Madam Jifa Ativo made some pronouncements which have been condemned widely. Well, she said that when there is a change of government and the NPP takes power, it is likely to throw her in jail. Does that give any hint of wrongdoing on her part, do you think? That could be an arsenal for Occupy Ghana, just in case your study of the documents prove that she has, been culpable in any way?
Without looking at the documents, on the basis of what she said to her audience, in the Volta region, I think Jifa already is telling the public that she is guilty to some extent. She tried to say that an MPP government would jail her whether or not she was guilty. I don't think that is the way the rule of law will work. She will definitely come to trial if she's found guilty or involved in any transaction that is fraudulent. And if she is found guilty, I think she should expect a jail term or at least a massive fine. Depends on what the judge will order. So we have come to the conclusion that the only way we can insist on the governance in this country to be improved is if persons who commit crimes are actually tried and jailed. If we don't do so, there will be no example of how we are going to handle wrongdoing going forward. It doesn't matter to us whether it's an NDC government, an NPP government, a PPP government, or a PNC government. Totally irrelevant to the issue. The issue is whether or not a wrongdoing and a crime has been committed.
Thank you very much, Sidney Kesley Hayford, for your time. He's a leading member of Occupy Ghana, and they are still keeping a keen eye on the Smarty's bus branding deal between the Transport Ministry and the Smarty's Company Limited. Also, TV3 is monitoring whatever decision will come out. We'll make it available to you.